Welcome to the One Take, One Shot Smackdown review. That's right, if I screw up, well, I'm not cutting, we're just going forward because I'm doing this all in one take. First off, I would normally save the end segment until, well, the end, but let's just talk about it right now. The favor was revealed today, and, it makes sense. I will say that the favor makes sense, but I'll also say that, boy, what a letdown. This was like a balloon, right? And you're just waiting to pop it. Someone's gonna, they have a balloon in their hand and they have a needle in their hand, and instead of popping it, they just let it go and it goes all around the room. And that's what basically the favor was. Totally makes sense. No plot holes. And yet, okay. So, CM Punk wants Paul Heyman in his corner. That's fine. That's the favor. Yippee-ki-yay. However, they should have just done it different. I'm not saying don't do this as the favor, but what they should have done was last week, instead of building up this idea of the favor, all they should have done was last week they get the main event, they get that whole segment. The whole segment stays exactly the same. Roman's like, ha ha ha, I got you your favor. I'm your tribal chief. Acknowledge me. Sorry, can't cut the cough out. One take, one shot. And he's like, acknowledge me. And then CM Punk says, but that's not the favor. And he says, Paul Heyman in my corner is the favor. And then we cut to credits. That way, all week long, we can be like thinking, how is Roman going to respond to that as opposed to what is the favor? Because, hey, you know what? We're the fans. We built up the expectations too high, but at the same time, they're writers, right? They write, and you know what you're doing. You are trying to build the expectation. And so what they did was they purposely built up this expectation, and now they're going to turn around and blame us for being let down when that's not fair. You guys knew what you were doing. You should have let us know last week, and then this week we could have just been like, oh my gosh, how is Roman going to respond to having to lose his wise man? Everything, literally almost everything could have stayed the same with just a couple little tweaks, and then we wouldn't be so disappointed. But no, we waited an entire week for a very logical favor, but a letdown nonetheless. We'll talk more about the segment. We'll talk more about the entire segment at the end of this review because that was the main event of the show. I want to get into everything else, but I know a lot of you just came to talk about that. So that is my official stance on it. Makes sense, but a letdown because of how they presented it. You gotta think, this is a giant story, and you gotta think how you present things in order to make it best appealing for your audience. So we start off. So now we're going to put a little pin in the favor segment. We'll talk about it again at the end. We're going to start with the opening segment of Paul Heyman and CM Punk. CM Punk comes out, and he's just so happy to be alive. Chicago is the greatest city in the world, but he heard the Europeans were, but nope, it's you Chicagoans. And then Paul Heyman comes out, and he's glazing. He is glazing CM Punk as if he were Cody Rhodes, because everybody glazes Cody Rhodes. I guess this is the era of the glaze. I think people said that in my chat. It's just like, you're so great, you're so awesome to everybody. Paul Heyman does that, and he says, what's the favor? And then CM Punk's like, I'll tell you at the end of the episode. Again, here we talk again about the just extending it, getting our hopes and expectations up, which they should not have done. So we end that promo, which ended up being about 20 minutes long, of literally just, Chicago, you're great. People said I don't belong here, and Paul Heyman saying, CM Punk, you're great. That was the segment in total. Then we have Fenix making his debut. Very cool entrance. Very, very cool entrance. On par with Penta. Still like Penta's better. If you don't know, Penta and Rey Fenix, they are real life brothers. They're coming from AEW. The reason why they didn't come together was because Rey Fenix had gotten injured, really gruesome elbow injury. He got injured, and so time was added to his contract, and he had to stay in AEW for a little bit longer because Tony Khan didn't want to share any of his toys. Not that I blame him, because that is a business practice that WWE has done in the past as well. But that said, we had Rey Fenix, very much a luchador in the vein of Rey Mysterio Jr. Now we got the Battle of the Rays, Stingrays, pew pew pew. Those are Rays. Those are Rays. If you didn't know what I was doing, God, I wish this was a 2-take review, because then I could cut that out, but cannot. So we have Rey Fenix going up against Nathan Frazier from NXT. He's part of the Fraxium. A great tag team. Kind of weird that suddenly it's just Nathan Frazier here. He's not a jobber, but he is a jobber. He's not a jobber in that he's part of one of the greatest tag teams that NXT has ever seen, but he is a jobber in that he's kind of just a guy that was just thrown on WWE proper TV. Not everybody watches NXT, so when this dude just randomly appears on SmackDown, he's kind of in a jobber position. And then you have a guy who just is debuting 2 weeks before WrestleMania. That's kind of weird in and of itself, and Rey Fenix has a competitive match with him. I don't mind a competitive first match. Penta and his competitive first match with Chad Gable was amazing and awesome, but for Fenix to have a competitive match with basically an unknown person, that was weird. Plus, we should have just saved Fenix's debut until after WrestleMania, the night after WrestleMania, or the SmackDown after WrestleMania. All you had to do was have Penta, he's getting beat up by like 2 or 3 people, because he's probably going to be in a fatal 4-way anyways. You could have had Dominic and Finn beating up Penta, or even Braun Breaker and somebody else beating up Penta, and then suddenly Rey Fenix's music hits, and well, he comes to the rescue, and then the Lucha Brothers are formed. Or he just comes to the rescue because it's his bro, you know what I mean? He comes to the rescue, it's his bro, and then they go their separate ways. Just kind of weird knowing that we are in WrestleMania season, and one of the cool things about WrestleMania season is the night after, and the night after is full of surprises and new people, because night 1 after WrestleMania is kind of like the restart of the WWE season, and we love new characters, and Rey could have been there. It was a good match, though. Nathan actually did a suicide dive botch, so Jey Uso, you're not alone. But then again, he's not in the main event. It was a good match, though. Very good match. Rey Fenix did a lot of cool things, and I was very impressed. He did do a promo after. It was very much like Penta, so you could say, well, he's just looking like to be a carbon copy of Penta, but you know what? I'm okay with it. Owen Hart is a carbon copy of Bret the Hitman Hart up until a point. The Hardys, Matt and Jeff, they were carbon copies of each other until they weren't. So maybe Penta and Rey will be copies of each other until they eventually feud with each other. Because Penta has even said that he wants to do a mask versus mask match with Rey Fenix at WrestleMania. That's his dream match. Not this year, but eventually. Then we get a promo. So overall, it's okay. It was okay. I've seen stronger debuts, but it wasn't bad. It was just odd. This SmackDown is all over the place. Some of the things are odd, some of the things are awesome, some of the things are awkward, some of the things are lackluster, some of the things are just hype. One of the best booked segments I have seen in many, many years was on this show. And then one of the most awkward segments I have seen in many, many years is on this show as well. So it's just like a weird time to be a SmackDown viewer, I guess. We got Drew McIntyre eye patch promo. Now he's wearing an eye patch because he was slammed into the windshield of the car last week, and I guess he had glass in his eye. Don't know if it's a work or a shoot. I think it's a work. And yeah, so against all odds, I'm looking forward to Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Still wish he was in a title match, but it's Drew McIntyre. Anything he touches turns to gold. Freaking gold. And, it's like, man, give this dude a title. Give this dude a title. He is so good. He is so good. I'm actually looking forward to this nothing feud, which is insane. Then we got Braun Strowman, LA Knight, solo Tonga segment, and it's like, okay, they just I don't know, they just kind of smack talk each other for a little bit, but Solo Sikoa is like 100% now the lackey or just the manager. Like, what a fall from grace. The dude was the main villain of 2024, and now he's just a guy? Like, what's up with that? He's just a manager now? He looked good, though, in that coat. Though I do think that a turn is a-coming at WrestleMania. He's probably gonna, because we'll talk more later. We got LA Knight versus Tonga. LA Knight finally wins a match with pinfall. Did I see the Spider Monkey DDT? Tonga does a really cool DDT. Overall, though, Solo Sikoa, his interference was a moot point, and LA Knight got the victory. I saw some people in the chat being like, why did we have this match? LA Knight's the U.S. champion. I'm okay with the U.S. champion beating a guy who doesn't win a lot. I would have been like questioning if LA Knight had beaten Solo Sikoa, but for him to beat Tonga, I mean, it sucks for Tonga, but LA Knight's way higher on the pecking order. Yeah. So, like, I was totally okay with the champion winning. You know what I mean? The champions needs to win. They need to win. And then we got, like, we went to Awkward Town. It was like Awkward Town had an open house and invited everybody, the SmackDown audience, in, and we saw, like, Tiffany and Charlotte Flair had, like, At first, I was thinking that Charlotte got rattled, but now I'm actually thinking that this was all a work, that it was supposed to happen like this. Now, I think the crowd definitely helped and made it seem more real than it was supposed to be, and which was good. I liked it. But at first, Charlotte is kind of going in on Tiffany, and then Tiffany starts, she kind of says a couple things to Charlotte, and Charlotte stumbles. And when Charlotte stumbles, that allows the crowd to, like, sink their teeth in her and start, like, booing or cheering or whatever. And then Charlotte, like, it seems like she loses her confidence midway through a sentence. The crowd sees it and then just attacks. Tiffany then tries to attack further, and it worked for, like, about 5 more seconds. And then Tiffany started to, I don't know if I would say stumble, but she didn't deliver great. And then Charlotte, I think what was happening was, like, 2 weeks ago, Charlotte completely buried Tiffany to the point that it was like, even if Charlotte won, it wouldn't matter because Charlotte had buried her so much. So I think Charlotte might have been trying to reverse course and allow Tiffany to completely win and dominate a verbal segment. And maybe Charlotte just doesn't know how to lose, Maybe Charlotte is so, like, used to winning that she didn't know how to throw a fight, because she tried to throw this verbal battle, and Tiffany, while yes, Tiffany did win, it was just still so painfully awkward. If you want to see just cringe, go watch this segment. I guess Tiffany wins in the end, but it was like she won with the low-hanging fruit of, you'll never measure up to your dad. She did say like a low blow punch by, like, what did she say? She was basically referred to a talk show interview that Charlotte just did where she was sad and crying. Excuse me, one take, sorry. She was crying and just sad about actually getting a divorce from her third husband. Is it her second or third husband? Andrade, and how the news came out during Royal Rumble season, and Tiffany brought that up. And at first I was like, again, because I was thinking that this might be real, I was like, that's uncalled for. You shouldn't do that. But I think though that they had talked it out or whatever. But when it was all said and done, she's making fun of her divorce, and then Charlotte throws a pop shot at like, oh well, Kaiser's in my DMs, and in kayfabe, we're not supposed to know that Ludwig Kaiser and Tiffany are together. So it's like, I think they were trying to make it look like a shoot, which means it was real, but it was still a work, which means it was, everybody knew what was going to happen. End of the day, this feud is just not working. If there was a way to get Rhea, Rhea hasn't signed on the papers yet about with Io and Bianca. Can we just get Rhea to come over here and just get inserted into this feud? Because, oh boy, whether it's 1 week Charlotte burying the talent, or the next week the segment just going completely off the rails, I don't know. Like, this was like, wow. It's really showcasing that that maybe they got to figure out how to get Charlotte to a point where she can mentor people better, and Tiffany just not ready, and that sucks. I really like Tiffany. Maybe it's just they should not have made her a face. They should have just had two heels going at it. Very, very like weird, awkward. Like, I don't know. I might have to sleep on this one. I think I'll wake up though and I'll be like, wow, that was even more awkward. Now that I slept on it, it's even more awkward. We got the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. We got the Street Profits. They come down with their horrible music. Go back to the other one. They come down. They end up sitting in the crowd. They don't get involved. We have a back and forth with the Motor City Machine Guns and DIY, and the Motor City Machine Guns win. Okay. That's about it. I got nothing much to say about this. DIY is like, they lost. It's whatever. Motor City Machine Guns win. I don't really care about the Motor City Machine Guns. I like them in TNA, but I'm just not connecting with them here. And I don't know how we're going to this is eventually going to get into like a multi-tag team match at WrestleMania, because if you think about it, everybody is losing cleanly now. There's no more chaos. Everybody's just having their fights. They're losing. Pretty Deadly lost. Elgato Del Fantasma lost to the Street Profits. Now DIY is lost. So once you lose, it's like, okay, I don't need to fight you again. So why are we going to have this huge battle at WrestleMania? I don't know. It hasn't been announced yet, so we'll see. But I will say, Pretty Deadly cooked, though. Pretty Deadly cooked. They had a segment with Mellow Don't Miz, and they were good. They were good. The line of the night, they said, Miz was like, I've got 9 team championships under my belt. And they were like, yeah, well, how many partners you got? And why are you looking for a younger partner than you? You're like the Leonardo DiCaprio of Leonardo DiCaprio of tag team, because, like, if you don't know, look it up. Leonardo DiCaprio and his dating history. But yeah, it was just hilarious. That was just so funny. And now we got probably a match with them next week. And what they said made sense, though. It's like, why is Mello like doing this? And yeah, it was just funny. It was hilarious. Miz got though awesome line. And so then my favorite match segment of the night, actually, which is impressive because you have Drew, Seth, and Punk in the ring later, but I think this was perfect booking. Absolute perfect booking. We have B-Fab, she comes to the ring, right? And then we have Naomi. Naomi comes to the ring. We see her for maybe like 1 or 2 seconds, and then Jade Cargill just completely blindsides her and beats her up, right? She beats her up, and then Naomi, she gets to go into the ring, the match starts, and B-Fab it goes on the offensive. So it's very good explaining why B-Fab can beat up Naomi here, because Naomi got jumped, and we saw Jade Cargill get taken to the back. And so now Naomi, though, She turns it around. No shade to B-Fab, but B-Fab is like a lower mid-card act right now, and Naomi was able to beat her in less than 5 minutes. Lately, we've been having these really long back and forths, no matter what placement of the card you are on. Tozawa having a long battle with Mello or Gunther. It's like, come on, guys. No, it can't happen. Naomi just turned heel. We need to make her super strong. But we're allowed to let her get beat up at first because of the attack. But she turns it around, and under 4 minutes, maybe 5, Naomi wins strong. And not just that, she then says, I'm still standing, Jade. She's a confident, strong villain, calls out Jade, but then Jade actually attacks from behind, showing that Jade was actually smart about the whole thing. You know, she was taken to the back, so she literally went around the building and came out from the crowd to attack Naomi from the other side, meaning that we have a villain who is confident and strong and not afraid, and a face who is smart. Because usually the face is never smart in these situations, but Jade was, and they attack again, and they fight, and Jade's about to do her finisher, but then it's broken up by the security, and that's cool because we don't need to see that finisher right now. We can wait to WrestleMania. So now Naomi gets to escape, and she's like, I'm gonna kill you, a B-word, or she's like, I'm not done with you, but she's not going at her because she's a heel, she doesn't have to. And then Jade gets to look super strong by taking out the security guards. Here comes the GM, Nick, says, okay, we're having a match. That was perfect booking. Everybody looked strong, everybody looked smart, everybody looked like they played their role, from B-Fab to Naomi to Jade to even Nick. Perfect booking. That segment was from the matches to the angles to advancing the storyline. Loved it. I know a lot of you are going to be like, all right, dude, it was just a segment. No. That is a perfect segment. I have not seen a segment on free TV like this since Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. On free TV, that was a picture-perfect match plus booking. And so was this. And now we go to, then we have a Damian Priest promo. Damian Priest looked pretty good. This is perfect for Damian Priest. Don't put him, I think he's like Tiffany. Don't give him a live mic. Not yet. In a backstage promo, he does very, very well. And he did very, very well here. And looks like next week, though, we're going to have a face-to-face. Hopefully, Drew can carry him through it. And then but overall, decent stuff. Then we got here's something weird. KO comes out and says he has a neck injury and he has to go away. Kind of ironic that it's a neck injury in that he's been pile driving people and giving them neck injuries. And I thought for sure it was a work. But then as the music plays and Kevin Owens like, I gotta go by, we have a Randy Kevin Owens segment, and I thought for sure something was gonna happen here. If KO is really legit injured, they should have punted him. They really should have punted him here because, when you're hurt and you're injured, well, you might as well get one of the most devastating moves so we can just completely write you off TV. But we didn't do that, which leads me to believe that I still think this is a work. I think Randy Orton is going to want a WrestleMania match because Nick Aldis then says, sorry, Randy, you don't get a match. Randy's mad, RKO's him, and then kind of leaves. So maybe next week, KO's in the building or something. I don't know. I just think that this is fake, even though it's been rumored all day that KO is injured. I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I think KO is faking it. I think if anyone can fake it, don't forget, KO is the one that is attacking people when the cameras aren't rolling. They're doing very unique, crazy things with Kevin Owens, his storytelling, his character. Is it real? Is it fake? That's what they're doing with them. So I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I am saying that I still think there's a lot of hope that KO and Randy Orton is going to happen. Who knows? Maybe we just get an attack on social media that's just thrown in. But if it is for real, then, KO, get well soon. I give all the best wishes. You were an MVP of Cody Rhodes last year and this year. We got Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu. They had some really, really good spots, like big spots. There was a point when Jacob was running and they hit with the chair. Honestly, I thought it was an unprotected chair shot. I had to go back and look at it like 3 times. He does get his hands up, and he does but I was like, I don't know. I don't want even those. I have not seen a chair shot to the head in a very long time. Usually it's the stomach or the back, protected or not. Like, I just don't ever see that anymore in WWE. But, so that was good. Braun Strowman tackled Jacob through the barricade. Yeah, it's a spot that we see a lot, but it's also, it's pretty impressive. Braun Strowman's a big dude. If you're gonna eat a tackle from him, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt one way or another. And then we have there was a suplex on the outside. They did some really good spots. And I loved though when Jacob Fatu comes in when Braun Strowman comes in. They already set up a table. Braun Strowman comes in and we have he does his butt bomb or whatever it is, his corner hip attack and bam, right through the table. You know what I forgot to do? I meant to do this earlier, plug the channel, because I was going to do it during the CM Punk saying, the triple threat's not for a title, but you can win a title. That's what I was going to do, but it's a one-take shot, so I can't really go back and do it. If you want to win the belt, all you got to do is comment below and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification. You can win. Do a thumbs up, too, for this one-take, one-shot review. That's the chair, too, by the way. You hear that? That's the chair. I'm not passing gas. God, I wish I could edit this video. Also, I'm trying to quit the day job. That's why I'm doing it. Help me out. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Now we go to after. So, no. We're still in the LA Knight thing. Or not the LA Knight. The Jacob Fatu Braun Strowman thing. You know what? That would have been a perfect segue for this belt right here. I should have segued to that belt since I had screwed up. I could have been like, they're fighting for the number 1 contendership here. Anyways, you can win that belt too, by the way. Anyways, Jacob Fatu wins. This is Braun Strowman's first ever last man standing loss, and Jacob Fatu is your winner. Clean win. Very surprised. Thought we were going to get a fatal 4-way. Looks like it's just going to be Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. Yeah, and I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. Happy even though I do have to refilm a video because I thought it was a fatal 4-way, but that's my problem, not yours. We then go to a John Cena Cody Rhodes replay. Give me a break. That was just a waste of time. That could have been 60 seconds. So then Roman Reigns comes out. He doesn't have a 20-minute walk. He literally just walks. He power walks right to the ring. And this was the most heel Roman Reigns I have seen in a very, very long time. And I loved it. This was heel Roman Reigns. And, then Seth Rollins comes out. Then they're like, Seth did not. He was not as good as he has been lately. This was a weak Seth Rollins in the ring. Definitely feeling like the third wheel now, and CM Punk comes out, and that's when they reveal the favor. I've already told you this favor, the presentation of it just hit wrong. They needed to reveal it last week, so we only anticipated what Roman's reaction would be instead of what the favor is, because it was just a letdown. It was so predictable. It was so logical. We wanted something like John Cena turning heel, and we got I don't know, The Rock just being more heel. So there was no plot twist here. It was just very, very by the numbers, and I think that was the problem. And I know a lot of people are going to be defending it, and I mean, like I said, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just not the greatest thing in the world. And they were building it up to be the greatest thing in the world. If you're gonna make promises, you gotta fulfill the promises. You can't tell us to get hyped, and then when we're not hyped, you can't blame well, that's your fault. You know what I mean? So anyways, Roman Reigns gets really upset with Paul Heyman for not turning down for not turning down Punk, which is weird because Roman literally was just like, I'm very trustworthy, and then he's telling Paul to turn down Punk and not be trustworthy and break a promise. So Paul Heyman keeps his promise to CM Punk. Looks like they're going to have their moment because CM Punk was talking about how in the past he was like, man, you said you would walk down here with me when I main evented, so now here we are, let's do it. And Seth Rollins just laughed the whole time. We did have a GTS when Roman was really getting in the face of Paul Heyman. CM Punk came to his rescue, gave him a GTS, and man, that was like the best sell. Like Roman was like folded in half. His legs were on top of his other legs, and it was a really good sell job from Roman Reigns, and it just ends in a fight. So it's like, okay, that's it, I guess. Overall, this was a very good world-building SmackDown. There was also a segment saying that the women's tag team division was going to have, like, I don't know, some kind of tournament or matchup to determine who's going to be in the tag match with Liv and Raquel. Glad Liv gets to be on the card, but I hate that she's just literally getting thrown on the card and there's not going to be a real storyline behind it. Whatever. It'll probably be Bailey and Lyra. It seems like they have somewhat of a story right there, but that's pretty much it. She should have got more. Liv Morgan carried the women's division last year. She should have got more. But that said, Overall, this was a good SmackDown, but just a weird SmackDown. Had everything. I went through every emotion from happy to awed to disappointed to just awkward. I'm going to give it a 4. 4 chops. 4 out of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 5 chops. That's a pretty good rating. It was definitely decent, but not gonna lie, disappointing at times and really good at times. That's my one take, one shot review. Please comment and let me know if you like this. If you do, I'll probably do this again on Monday and we'll see if it's good. If you guys like these reviews immediately after in one take and one shot, then I'll keep doing it. If you don't, or if the video only gets like 400 or 500 views, then maybe I won't do it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. There's hot takes also. Feel free to put a hot take in the community tab. And boys, girls, have yourselves a great day. Night. It's nighttime because it's 11 p.m. Have a good night.